Iconoclast Speaks.
Welcome back to the Iconoclast Speaks. I am the Iconoclast, and this is Dad Bod. He is back again, yes, and we're going to be talking about guns.
Guns, boom, bam!
Not those.
No, unfortunately.
But we're not going to go the route that everyone seems to be going in, which is gun control. And the reason is because I don't think we're going to come to any conclusion or anything that will fix the gun control issue. Because one, I don't think anything is really going to change at all, no matter what I say about it, and no matter what changes.
That's the spirit.
Yeah, no one's gonna be happy with the outcome, no matter what issue.
Yeah.
But I was thinking maybe we could talk about some practical ways to stop the issues of. I think people are really upset about shootings at school.
Mm-hmm. I think that what might help the conversation might be to, I don't know, this might be like a cop-out, but we could just call them mass murders at school.
There you go, yeah, there you go.
Because, they did use a gun, but they didn't have to.
Yeah,
but they did, because that's what guns are for. They're for killing people, so.
Yeah, and killing things.
Right, and that's what killing things.
Or targets.
Right, but that's not why they were developed.
Yeah, they're
so specifically the military ones, right?
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. There's a little bit of when people are like, oh, and this is kind of how I feel, but they're like, oh, actually, this is pretty much how I feel. If they wanted to kill those people, what's going on? Okay, if they wanted to kill those people, they could have picked a bunch of different means to do it. There's a lot of different ways to multiply your evil and your hatred.
Yeah.
Guns are really good at it, and that's what they're for. That's what they were designed for. So it wasn't being misused any other way. What if they just hit each other with a truck and then jumped out with a kitchen knife? And you're like, well, that one. The kitchen knife was made for vegetables, right? And the truck was made for driving, right? So you could misuse a lot of things, but they're not even really misusing it. Really, they're using it for its intended purpose. But still, like you said, that person had to want to do it in the first place. It's not like.
Right.
It's not like the gun made them do it.
Right.
They're like, they made their plan. They're like, I want to kill a bunch of people, and they're like, how am I going to do this? And they said, well, I could use this gun. Right. That's what it's for. Done.
Yeah.
Boom. But if the gun wasn't there, you think they'd be like, never mind. I'll just go do my homework.
Yeah. Exactly. They come up with another way to do it, which is interesting because do you know when and where and how the largest mass murder in a school took place? Because I looked this up. And it kind of surprised me.
I'm going to say when, where, and how.
Yeah.
That's a lot of things for me to get right. When? The 80s.
No.
The 70s?
No, it's earlier.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You want me to tell you?
I do.
1927.
Okay.
In Michigan, and I think it was, if I remember, I'm going to probably say it wrong, but I think it was Bath Township, Michigan.
Okay.
And it was this dude, and I'm not going to remember his name because it was a weird name, but he was a farmer, and what had happened is he owned a farm, and the township wanted to build this new school, so they put this tax levy on his farmland, and not just his, but everyone's, in order to build this new school. Well, he couldn't afford the taxes that were being put on his land. He ended up losing his farm.
Oh, dang.
But in the ironic situation, he was
that would have made an exception.
Yeah, well, he was an electrician, and he was the electrician to the school.
Ooh.
So he was helping put all the electrical wiring into the school. Well, in the process, he was also planting bombs throughout the school. And then on the first day of school, when all the kids went in, he set the timers, and thankfully they didn't all go off, because I think they said there was about 110 kids that were in this school. 44 people died, which is still horrible, almost half.
Yeah.
But he ended up killing himself and stuff. But it was he used bombs and instantly killed 44 people, and so that was the largest murder of a school.
It was mass. I'd like to do some math murder too.
Yes. But he killed 44 people in 1927.
Yeah, but bombs are super easy to make.
Yeah.
It's not. It's ridiculous.
It's but nobody mentions that one.
Yeah.
And probably because it's an outlier. Like people, it's like a weird situation because he did it because he's mad for losing his farm.
I mean, you call it an outlier, but they're all outliers.
Yeah, exactly.
All of them.
Right.
Every time, it's an outlier.
Right.
It's not what's happening in society, really. I mean, it is because it happens and it's in our society, right? But it's like, I don't know. Everyone. Yeah. It's definitely something that needs to be dealt with, but I think that there's I think it's one of the ways that a bigger problem is manifesting itself. I just don't know what that is.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the issues that I find interesting anyway, that people get butthurt with the idea of having armed security guards at schools. And I don't understand that, but I also understand that the most recent one, there was There's four of them.
4 armed people outside not doing anything.
Right. So you have that issue of that's a whole different issue.
That's a can of worms.
But in my head, I was thinking, okay, if you have a school and you make sure there's only 2 entryways in and out of that school,
fire hazard.
Well, I mean, the others are locked down where you can't come in from the outside.
But are you talking about as the killer? What's going on here?
Well,
are you locking doors from the outside?
No. I'm saying like as a school, there's other entryways, but when kids come into school at the end of the day, there should be only 2 entryways, or whatever.
Oh yeah. So I work in a I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say this out loud, but like I mean, maybe, it doesn't really matter. I work, no, it's not. It's not that secret. I work for like an armored car company, and all the doors coming in are locked, but if you go out, so I mean that's the same as schools. Yeah, that's the same as schools. Like they just have like that. It might even just be one. Right. Just one front door.
Right.
That has like the little buzzer thing.
And they have to come. Yeah, and throughout the day, my wife's a teacher, and her the same way. When I go there, I have to ring the doorbell for them to open it. Yeah. But I'm saying this kid kind of snuck in somehow. I don't know. The latest one.
Probably because there was like a lock that was broken. And like somebody like put a work order in for it, and then they were like, when they're gonna fix that door? And I'm like, we'll get to it. Yeah. Like I mean, I don't know how I feel about teachers having guns. Like if a teacher wants to have a gun, I have no issue with that. If they have a conceal and carry, because I have friends who have conceal and carry permits. And I've never been afraid of them. I've never thought, oh my gosh, this guy is going to turn into Wild West. Right. Yeah, but like I've never thought that. But like the same thing, like people like when you mention, oh, they need to have armed security at school. People are like, oh, but like in my day when I was in high school, we didn't have that, but like that was a different era. And I think a lot of people like my age are still. But why was it a different era?
Well, I mean, it's post 9/11. Maybe. I mean, there's a different mindset.
Columbine was before 9/11.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
Then also, like, I think arming people inside of the school is a similar reaction as wanting to take away the guns. Right. It's based off of the fact that, like, you're not like you're like, well, we need to just solve the shooting problem. There's shootings at school, just to, like make us like solve that, right? Is that there's a shooting at a school, but not the fact that there's a shooter that's wanting to go into the school. So like that's, so it's a symptom. You're taking, you're sucking on a cough drop because you have a sore throat instead of like taking antibiotics or something. Like, you're not fixing the problem. You're just coming up with new ways to treat the different symptoms as they crop up.
Right. And that's the same. It's like if you did, like you said, like, have security at school, that doesn't stop them from then going to the local mall, which we've had that happen.
Yeah. And then also, or it'll just make the armed guards the first ones to die every time.
Yeah. But if you have 2 there, then maybe hopefully one will survive.
Fair enough. That's true.
So, I don't know.
Or if you have 4, they'll all just stand outside.
Hiding, whatever. But
I don't want to. Okay, just real quick. I don't want a bunch of people to give me some shit about like, well, you never know because when you're panicking and your life's in danger. Like, I've been in firefights. Okay, so like because I signed up for it. Yeah, I signed up for it. Okay, that's really. I'm just gonna leave it there. If we maybe we'll talk to it. We'll talk about it another time.
Technically, they signed up for it too. They're supposed to be there, and they failed.
It's very frustrating. It's embarrassing.
Like. I mean, I can't say because I've never been in that situation, but at the same time, I would think if I was hired for that position, I should understand my duties, but I would think I would. I'd hope, but I don't know.
I think it's.
But the fact that all 4 of them did it, is
right?
The part
yeah. So the first guy that did it is the worst one, right? Because then after that, it was easier for the other 3
to be like,
well, if he's not doing it, I'm not going to do it, right? That's the kind of. It's like. and then the more people that are involved in any kind of situation like that, you're like, well, if it was something that we should be doing, like somebody would have already done it.
Right.
So like the more people that are around things.
Yeah, like what becomes the mass mind speak where everyone like once one person you get it. And
Yeah, there was like that murder. Did you hear about that murder thing where there was like some girl got murdered? It was like a classic case. I don't know. I heard about it on like MDN or something like that. Where like it was like in a city. And like all these people in all the buildings,
and they
like all saw it.
it.
They all watched the whole thing happen, and nobody did anything about it. Yeah,
because they thought somebody else would.
Yeah. They almost thought somebody else.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I know that.
So that's why the first guy was worse than the others.
Yes, because then once he did it,
he set the example.
Right. Yeah. So you want to be the opposite example. So then, what do you think the issue is? Because it's not necessarily because, like you said, like people are like, well, if we got rid of the guns, then. Which here's the thing that I find funny because I've read people's statements on Facebook and I've made statements and usually what I'm trying to say is that because like some people are saying well only in America this stuff, but you know what, last year in England we had a guy blow up a bunch of people at a concert.
Yeah,
and like run people over on a bridge.
Yeah,
it's like and so
like you want to talk about like ISIS? Like what does ISIS do when they can't have guns in the country? They just run people over with trucks because they still want to kill people, right?
And the thing is, technically, if you're doing that, I don't care what your religious background is, you're crazy. So you do have a mental health issue. If you get into the level that you're like, I'm going to mow people down with a car, or I'm going to go with a sword, or I'm going to...
right.
Like, if you get into that
machete.
level...
There's something also that I think slightly distinguishes the two, which is where, like, school shooters are, like... And then it might also some of the lone wolf types are, like, self-radicalized to this, like, belief or whatever, but, like... The people that like are legitimately in ISIS or less crazy, I think they're more like Nazis.
Yeah,
which were like regular people that just like believe some
themselves,
crazy stuff like that. Yeah, and not so much just like these people who are sitting around like all by themselves, like complaining about their own terrible thing they want to do.
Someone said something mean to me, and now I'm going to kill everybody.
Yeah,
which I don't know if that's what it was. Because I don't know what.
By the way, I'm not saying that Nazis are like good.
No.
Okay, real quick.
You clarify.
No, it's cool. It's cool. ISIS is cool because they're just like Nazis. It's fine.
Yeah. Because you're saying ISIS and they're similar. That's what. You're saying.
Right. Because the people that join them are following
a program.
They're following. Right. Yeah.
So you're saying you're different.
Like the other three cops.
Right.
So everybody just kind of like wants to follow.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
So. I'm not going to even go any further on that one.
The other three cops are ISIS.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's where you went. So, but they've all been suspended, so there you go. So,
which is also an embarrassing reaction. They should not be. They should be fired.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
one guy quit.
Yeah,
he resigned or whatever. But
so he at least did one honorable thing.
Those guys are just gonna live. And also another thing about freezing in a situation, which is kind of like I don't know if we're just gonna kind of dabble in that can of worms. But I was just going to dance around. Like when you have such a narrow cast for who you hire, because you have to have really strict standards because you don't want a bunch of criminals becoming cops because then that's a really good way to get a bunch of crooked cops.
Yeah.
But like if it's too narrow and like you end up just only getting these people who have just super straight laced. I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this. I'm not really that worried about it. You have like super straight laced people that end up being cops, which is good because you want them to not break the law because they have to uphold the law. They have to be the example, right? But and this is not all of them. Obviously, I'm just saying. But some of them that get through are super squeaky because they're afraid to do anything wrong.
Right.
And then when I was a kid, I didn't mind doing things wrong.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then
you learned from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just. But instead of they're almost like set up because you're taking these people who are like afraid of conflict. Not necessarily. I don't know really what I'm talking about here, but it's not like they're afraid of conflict. It's just like they're super
straight-laced.
Good. You're good, right? This is a good thing to be good, right? But then all of a sudden the shit hits the fan, and it's the first time in their life that the shit has hit the fan, and all of a sudden they have to go protect a bunch of little kids, and it's just
and they're like
frozen. Yeah. And some people don't freeze the first time the shit hits the fan, but if you have already been somewhere where the shit hits the fan, then and you know that you've kind of like, oh, I know how I react under pressure. I'm going to become a cop. And then they say, oh, no, you remember when you were under pressure that one time?
Yeah.
That was illegal. So,
Yeah.
goodbye. And then you end up with a bunch of people who, not a bunch. Again, I have nothing against cops. I'm related to a cop, and, we're homies big time. And I just think that that's a symptom. And it's same with those other people that freak out, when they're like the whole, like, all the killings that happen where, not all of them, but, where like, what was that guy, that, the younger guy that, got shot, hands up, don't shoot guy.
Oh, yeah. Michael Brown.
Yeah, so I don't remember the cop's name, but that guy was just like some guy that just like totally panicked because somebody was in his face.
Yeah.
And then I was reading the other day about some kid who was, his mom was arguing with a bailiff. And the bailiff started like getting like a little bit physical with the mom, and the son, who was like 16, like freaked out and started like pushing the bailiff, and the bailiff shot him and killed him.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, so you got these
So, like, it's a kid, like you can just knock him over, right? Like, yeah, get out of here. You shot a kid.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just it's very frustrating to me that there's a, I don't know. I feel like that was a huge
I think there's I think there's a fear factor. I think in our world now we have like a lot more fear than when I was younger. Like I mean, yeah, it's scary movies stuff like, but like I'm saying, we had the Cold War when I was little. I remember like being afraid of Russia, but we weren't really. I mean, I was never afraid of Russia. Like I was like, Russia's there, like but then when you see like now you see people who there's this fear going on, they're afraid, like whether it's terrorism, whether it's school shootings, it's instead of facing the fear, we allow the fear to hinder us. Like we let the fear build a wall, and we're afraid of what's going to happen. So instead of like you said, taking the cough drop instead of taking the penicillin.
Sure, yeah.
So you have the fear, so you don't, instead of facing that fear, you like put a Band-Aid on it. And it's a gaping wound and it's doing nothing. So the immediate reaction is go after guns, go after this, put more security here, do this, instead of trying to figure out, okay, what is the real situation? Like, for instance, like if a kid is making threats or acting oddly, we should immediately, that kid should be looked at. Like what's the issue going on there? Why is he acting this way? But people are afraid to do that because there again we have the fears like, well, you can't do that, it hurts their feelings.
Yeah, well, I mean, and
we have this fear that it's going to stifle the kid.
Yeah, that like the gun debate over like whether or not they should be banned or whatever wherever they're talking about is like people think that that's like going to help. Like even if we decide to ban guns. Like all of a sudden everyone loses their guns or whatever. I mean, not all the guns, whatever. Obviously, there's a difference between like whatever reasonable conclusion they come to as far as what types of guns should be taken away. First of all, unless you're going to kick down everyone's doors and take them out of their hands, you're not going to get them all. And the only ones you'll get are from honest people. And if you do decide to kick down the doors, it's going to be bloody. Not at my house, obviously. But if the government tells me to give up my guns, I'm going to because.
Yeah. Because you're a nice guy.
Right, yeah. Okay.
But then there are people who aren't. They're gonna
they're not. And those are the people that if you come to get them, those are like it's going to be like a gunfight in their house. So it's just like you're going to think that that's progress.
Right.
Right? And then you're not going to, I don't know, maybe it'll just take more like then somebody like does the truck thing or a bomb or whatever.
Yeah.
Then you're going to that's when you're going to realize that it's not.
Right.
That wasn't that. So I forgot about what we're talking about a little bit.
Guns and
no, I know that. I started somewhere.
Anger.
Fear. Yeah, I don't know. People
like in or I guess we were trying to figure out what is the cause or the catalyst that is made like these mass murders, not just in schools, but it happens outside of schools. It happened at a mall.
This is what I was going to say. Is that my problem was with the conversation that we're having.
Yeah.
Is not. It's like when everyone says like, okay, we have to do something about these mass shootings, and then immediately that's followed up by, why do we even have these guns anyway? Or we have to do something about these shootings in schools, right? And everyone really focuses on the fact that it's with a gun.
Right.
And the gun is just a tool.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tool being used correctly. Like I said before, that's what they're for. They're for killing people. So it's not something being misused, right? So it's not like we have to take all the paint away from the kids huffing them or something like that. Like, they're using it for what it's for.
Yeah.
But they're using it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's not the tool exists.
Yeah, it's like it's the mindset of why they chose that.
So if you get caught up in the gun debate, you're spending a lot of time and effort talking about a separate issue.
Right.
Because it is a legitimate thing. Like, we should talk about it, especially if a lot of people feel so, uncomfortable with the fact that all these like guns that are, for war are in our society.
Mm-hmm.
That's a legitimate conversation, but it's just not the conversation that has to do with mass shootings in schools.
Right.
It's not the same.
So you get
it is a separate topic.
Yeah. So you need to deal with what causes the mass shootings, and then the gun debate's a different issue.
We can debate it. I have no problem with debating whether or not we should have guns.
Right.
Or what kinds of guns we should have, or what they should be used for, or what you have to go through to get a gun.
Yeah.
But that's not the same discussion.
Right.
As how do we find a solution to why people get shot in schools?
Yeah. And why people choose to do mass shootings. That's the thing. We got to figure out why they're doing that. Because I think if you figure out
I just thought of
why.
something.
Yeah.
Did you read Ready Player One?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we all just go to a high school with our headsets, we're good to go. No shootings.
There would be no shootings.
Good to go. All right,
Well, there'd be shooting.
guys.
There'd be shootings in the VR.
But then you just respawn.
Yeah, you
Good to go.
respawn. Yeah, exactly. It'd be like playing Rainbow Six Siege.
There you go. Yeah.
You die, but you come right back and you're
good.
fine. It's like I'll just build that wall again. It'll be better.
That's right.
So maybe that's what we need to move. Maybe that's the solution. Virtual schools.
You thought social media was the problem.
I was wrong.
Didn't think that. No, social media is the solution.
To the
we all just become our Facebook pages. No more.
We plug into the Matrix, and we'll be all fine.
But what happens? You die. But when you die in the Matrix, you die in real life. Did you watch that?
I saw that movie. Okay. I watched the first one and the second one. And I refused to see the third one.
What?
Because the second one was such a weird movie and a train wreck.
Did you see the? I think it was like maybe the MTV Movie Awards. Like right after that one came out, when Will Ferrell was the architect.
Oh yeah.
That was super funny, and like I think maybe like Justin Timberlake was in it.
Yeah.
That was. I just every time I think of the third movie, that's all I think about. It's just Will Ferrell like turning around in the chair.
You know what? Now I'm starting to think there's a point where MTV stopped doing music videos, and that's when gun mass shootings started happening. Look it up.
But
I could be right.
Semi-automatic rifles started being sold in the early 1900s, and there was no MTV then.
Oh,
and there was also no mass shootings then.
Oh.
There were mass bombings,
right?
Like you just said.
But wait, another interesting thing.
But that was just an outlier.
Then we'll go.
We don't have to go.
People always say, well, no, but like they're always like, the Constitution, and they always are like, well, the founding fathers only knew muskets.
Yeah.
It was muskets, and they were talking about muskets. But there was actually a machine gun used in the Revolutionary War.
Oh, nice.
And you can look it up.
Like
you can yes, it was. And it was, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was one of these things where
GTS,
I looked it up.
bro, you can find it. You're already on the internet.
I know, but
just opening up another tab.
I'm making you guys look it up.
That's what I'm saying. I'm yelling at them.
Yeah, look up the machine gun used in the Revolutionary War that was used, and the founding fathers wrote the Constitution after the Revolutionary War, and they knew about this weapon, so they knew there were machine guns. So you can't say that they only did it for muskets, because they knew about this.
Also,
something to think about. They also had cannons.
Also, Constitution, living document. If you don't like it, you can change it, but not enough people actually want to do that.
All right.
It's not going to work.
Yeah. All right, well, there you go. We solved nothing.
Nothing. We just talked about guns.
And not those guns. Dude, because he just took you to the gun show.
We just criticized everybody we could think of
Yeah.
without coming up with any solution.
No solutions in this episode at
That's
all.
not what we're here for.
So if you're mad at us, leave it below. If you're listening to us on iTunes or Google Play, check us out on Facebook. You can watch us do the show. It's so much more entertaining when you see our pretty faces. And then you can leave comments to us and tell us how you think we're jerks, and we don't care.
Oh, and also that I don't like cops, which is
Yeah.
going to happen.
Yeah.
Someone's going to be mad about what I said about cops.
But he has a cop friend.
I do. No, it's okay. It's okay.
Because
I'm married to a cop.
Yeah. I have a friend who's a cop. I don't have any friends
I was
who are
just hanging
cops
out
that
with
I
them
know
today.
of. But really? Yeah. I've been pulled over by cops, and I'm always nice to them. Which
Oh,
is why I'm still alive.
You know what happens when I'm pulled over by cops?
What?
I mentioned that I'm friends with a cop.
No, wow.
I named them. Big
Yeah.
time. Oh, yeah, big time.
Yeah. Well, thanks for stopping by, and hopefully you'll come back, because we're sure to have another debate that answers nothing.
Yeah,
So-
that we're not arguing and
Yeah,
arguing,
yeah.
and also not.
And solving.
we weren't even trying to solve anything.
No,
which
we
was
just
good.
wanted to talk.
I think it was good.
Yeah, we just wanted to talk about the issue. So, see you next time. Peace.